Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome back to another episode of Thrifty Gaming Pickups. For those who do not know, this is a episode or episodic series I do here on my second channel. My main channel, Mr. Mario 2011, will be linked down below in the description if you want to check it out for, some things that are more, I guess, a little more tightly edited. You'll have Lily featured here, but she's not really going to be the mainstay as much as she is in this series here. But this is a series I occasionally do here on the second channel where I like to collect video games, video game console, video game related things, and what I like to do is when I go get some good deals from either like sales, game shops, thrift shops, garage sales, flea markets, wherever it might be, I end up making an episode. These ones, they don't come out as often as they used to, just because I've really kind of slowed down a bit on collecting. Probably a decent amount, actually. But either way, whenever I do have a little bit of a cache of items that I got on a good deal, I do like to make an episode. I bring Lily over here, and you can see that she loves making these episodes with me because she ends up getting treats. There we go. Treat. See, she knows the word. She knows the word. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give her another one of these. Lily, can you sit? Okay. I'll give her another one of those. Let me actually swap out the camera for my battery. Well, the battery for my camera, excuse me. And then we can continue on with this episode. All right, and Lily, you are looking so HD. There we go. One cut later, and I think we good. So, Lily, I'm going to have you come over to your bed. Lily, bed. Lily, come here on the bed. On the bed. There we go. All right, cool. Awesome. So we'll just have you sit here, and we're going to do something a little different for this episode. So it's pretty casual, pretty laid back if you haven't seen this before. I literally just sit on the floor, and I show you my dog Lily and a few things that I end up getting. Now, you might be wondering, because, we're on the floor here. There's no video game related stuff. That's because I really end up going to one place for this. It was a flea market, so it was separate stalls. But I end up getting a big bag of stuff right here, which... That's a good one, actually. I think that's just a cute look. All right. Maybe that's a thumbnail right there. I think that's a good one. Either way, I end up getting this bag right here from the first stall I end up purchasing a few things at. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of surprise you all throughout this video here by just literally reaching into the bag, grabbing some items, and I'm going to tell the story behind them. So let's go ahead and get into that here. Trying to move this without disturbing Lily and also without really revealing all too much that's in here. So let's go ahead and grab the first item. I'm doing this off camera. Here we go. This is a PS3 controller. Now you can see it's an older one because it is a 6-axis controller, but I was actually pretty surprised because it's in quite nice shape. Now again, we ended up going to a flea market. It was my girlfriend and I, and ended up going to a few different stalls, and this was at one of them. So this was a PS3 controller, as I said. I actually, funny enough, would I recommend playing on these ones? Not so much, but usually when I'm working on a video tutorial or something like that, I really just need the controller to work, and as long as it has, the handshake to get into safe mode, and as long as it works properly, it's fine. So just normal 6-axis is okay, but if you ever handle one of these compared to the DualShock 3, you'll be surprised at how light it is, but still, pretty decently shaped controller, so that's good. That's probably the best one I got out of them. Let me see if I could find another one. Here we go. End up getting another controller right here, which Lily, you want to give it a sniff? Okay, I guess not. Now this here is a PlayStation 2 wireless controller. Now this is from Logitech, as you can see, and this one I was excited when I saw it because, again, it wasn't in bad shape at all. It's in pretty decent shape, and you do need the... There we go, she smelled it. You do need the receiver for this, but I do have several receivers for these controllers. So typically when I do see these in the wild, I end up grabbing them. So end up getting one of those. And the last one here, if I can feel around for the controller, here we go. Here we go. This is the last one I end up getting. This is a Xbox 360 controller. It ended up being in pretty decent shape, and they had several options for 360 controllers there. It's also these guys right here, the controller, the backings for the actual batteries. Man, I'm not sure what it is. The original ones work pretty great. The third-party ones that are on the market almost all of them are crap. So this seems to be a pretty good one here, but they also had some playing charge ones. I decided to not get the playing charge one, but you can see this is all for the controllers right here. So we're going to plug this back in, and this overall ended up being $15. It was $5 per controller. I ended up going to his stall. He had several games. The games were like $3 each, which was a good deal, but it was either stuff I had or stuff I could live without, so I didn't get it. Lily was pretty happy about that. But the thing is, I actually wanted to get more controllers. There was like 2 or 3 other ones I wanted to get because I was getting a lot of 360 controllers, because these ones are, it's not like they're rare, right? I'm not trying to say that, but they're getting surprisingly harder to find in good shape than you would expect. And I know I'm not the only one who's going to share that sentiment. So these are the ones I end up getting. The reason why I didn't get more is because when I went there, I end up just bringing cash, right? Typically, if I go to a flea market, I'm only doing cash. Now, we were rushing that morning a little bit because I didn't think we were going to go. Like, my girlfriend kind of just sprung it on me and we decided to go. The thing is, I had cash, but I had it at home. I didn't fully bring it with me. She had some cash on her, so she actually ended up spotting me, and then I ended up getting her back when we ended up leaving. But the thing is, I didn't want to use an ATM there, and by the time I got to this stall, I pretty much exhausted almost all of the cash. So unfortunately, I had to put a few controllers back. She was actually a little disappointed. She's like, man, I wish you could have gotten the other ones. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I got like these 3 here I'm pretty happy with. So even Lily's putting her paws on there, so she's pretty happy with it too. So that was all there was for the controllers. That was actually the final stall we went to before we left, so we're kind of going backwards here. But now if we reach back into the bag, I'm feeling a game. Here we go. This is actually the one before it. You can see we're kind of going backwards in time. This here is Army of Two for the Xbox 360. It's a Platinum Hits version. This is one of those games, I played it. Actually, I've finished it several times. I really enjoyed it back in the day, but I ended up selling it. I never ended up replacing it. And I will say, out of the Army of Two series, in my opinion, this one is the best one. After this, it's downhill from there. Play the first one. If you enjoy it, awesome, but just keep in mind, the ones that come after it, in my opinion, are not very good. I think the third one, I didn't even finish. I got like a few missions in, I didn't finish it. The second one I finished, it was boring, I'm going to be honest. But I want to play this again. Now, I ended up getting this here. Unfortunately, you could see there's a little bit of water damage on it, but aside from that, the disc itself is actually in okay shape. It does have a manual with it as well, too, but it's one of those, let me see, is it one of those, Lily, what did you eat, dude? Actually, hold on. Now, this is a little bit of a rarity, right? It is one of those EA manuals right here. And you could see they were cheaping out because, you know, it's only a few pages and it's also in black and white. So this is during that time frame when certain companies, mainly EA, started to cheap out on the stuff they included in here. But you could see it was during that time when they were transitioning, because they actually, how many pages is this? All right, this is a 9-page manual, right? Yeah, let's say it's a 9-page manual. It's in black and white, but it didn't get to the point where it was like, you know, just like toilet paper where it's on like a front and back, or like there's nothing at that point. So it's nice when it was like there's actually something in there, but you could see this came out around the time when they started to cheap out on the stuff you get inside of a game. Either way, this game was $5 right here. I was perfectly happy to pay that, so we were good on there. Now the next thing, let me see if I could reach down it. See if I could reach out for the other game. The other game I ended up picking up was a game I have actually always seen, never ever played, but always been interested because, well, I have a soft spot for the PS1, and especially these thick games right here. I have a soft spot for them. This one is Riven, the sequel to Myst. It's literally called that. Riven, the sequel to Myst. One thing I had no idea about until I ended up purchasing this is actually one of the few PlayStation games, and maybe the only one I know of, released in a NTSC, like, you know, UC, so United States, Canada, North American territory, that's what I'm saying. This only North American PS1 game I've seen that is 5 discs. Now, some people might cite some examples such as like Ark the Lad Collection. I think that came on like 5 or 6 discs. The thing is, those were all separate games. This one here is one single game spread across 5 discs. Not 2, not 3, not 4, 5. Even the way they laid it out is interesting. I will even show you. If we open this up here, so you got disc 1. You have to pull this apart to get to disc 2. You got disc 3 right there. Then you got to close this up. Disc 4, disc 5, but it's also another 2 CD right there, so you have the slot for another disc. But I thought this was interesting. I was even like, I got excited when I saw this, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, you know, I've always seen this game. Always seen it when I was going to like different thrift shops, game shops, places like that, but I have never ever played it, and I've always been interested in picking it up and playing it. I think the closest I got was I went to a friend's house and he had it because his dad had picked it up and wanted to play it. But yeah, I never had it until now, so I'm happy to add it to the PS1 collection. End up being 15 bucks. I think that's a little cheaper than the going rate online, but yeah, I was happy to pay that. So those are the two games I end up getting. Now, the next thing, let's get into what we have here. Here we go. All right. What is this guy? This is a Xbox 360, should be. Yes, Xbox 360 power supply, and this specifically is a power supply for the Slim E. However, if you plug this into the correct port, it also works on the Slim S as well, so it technically works on 2 SKUs of the Xbox 360, so I end up getting that. I also ended up getting another Xbox 360 power supply. This one is more the standard one. This one, as you can see, this is how it looks, right? So this is the one that works on the Slim S, and you can see that this is not forwards compatible, so it does not work on the, or I guess backwards compatible. It doesn't work on the Slim E is what I'm saying, so this one only works on the S model. However, you could see that one is that. This one is, sorry Lily, interrupted your paw right there. This is just the single prong one. This is the one that goes to the E, but again, it also works on the S as long as you plug it into the correct port. So, end up getting a couple of these here. When I see those ones out in the wild, especially like the official Microsoft ones, if they're a good price, I end up picking them up. Again, those power supplies, they're getting a little, again, not rare. I definitely know they're not rare, but they're getting harder to find than you would expect, and I just don't trust the third-party ones in all honesty. So that's why if I find the original ones, I end up picking them up. So I end up getting a couple of those. What do I have here? Here we go. End up getting some more cables with this as well. I'm actually going to move this over to the side. So here, I end up having to ask the guy if he could grab these because they were kind of separated. They were in the same area. They were like behind a glass case, but they weren't physically connected. So here is the other cable for that. And here is the other cable for the other one right here. So as you can see, they are, I'm trying to pull it. Here we go. A little bit tangled, but I had to just pull them off screen. So there we go. Those are 2 complete power supplies, so works out pretty well. I think Lily would agree. Also, whenever I see these, if I can grab one, I end up doing so if it's a decent price. This here is a official Nintendo branded Switch USB-C charger. I'm not going to get into it here, but essentially with the Switch, the way it handles USB-C charging, it likes to be a little fancy with how it does it, and it kind of backfires. So there was that one issue where there was like one third-party dock that was causing issues and like bricking the Switch by zapping one of the components on there. Plus, the Switch is just sometimes just really touchy with chargers. So I notice the best charger for the Switch is the Switch charger. So if I have one of these, or if I see one again for a decent price, I end up picking it up. I'll get to the prices later on these ones here because they were all from the same vendor. Also end up getting a Xbox 360 chat pad. This is one of the black ones, which you don't see all too often. And I do actually have one of these in black, but I saw it right there. It was just behind the case with everything. So I decided to get it because, again, price wasn't too bad on it. This here, not gaming related, but I guess it could be gaming related. This is a wireless Microsoft mouse. Now, as you can see, it has been used a decent amount, but I did check and verify it is functional, it is working, and it even has the USB dongle in there. So it's not Bluetooth. It is wireless, probably 2.4 gigahertz, but still that works out pretty well for what I'm needing on here. So always good to have an extra mouse on hand. I know this one is a good one here, so end up grabbing that. We're just going to put that right there. We're getting close to the end of the bag here. I can feel it. Oh, all right. This is still 2.4, yeah. So this is a Xbox 360, of course, Wi-Fi adapter right here. This one is 2.4 gigahertz, but it is the upgraded one, which ends up having the 2 antennas on it instead of the single antenna, which does make a difference. So do I play online with this? No. Like if I'm playing online, I'm going to be doing a wired connection. However, in order to just like connect onto like my hard modded system, for example, or even a stock one to like download games from my from my profile, download content from there, or even like, you know, connect on a RGH and download covers through Aurora, this is just fine. If I'm in a pinch and I don't want to hook up an Ethernet cable, this works just fine for like content downloading on here. So end up getting that. We're getting close to the end. I think this is the last one. Yep. All right. And right here, this is another interesting one. Again, this is from like the same vendor right here, this stuff, and it was all behind a single glass cabinet. This here is a PlayStation 2 network adapter, but you can see it says HDD because you can hook up a hard drive to it. And this one is nice too because it is the official Sony one. So it's going to have the best compatibility, and you can actually open it up and buy a third-party board to convert this to a SATA interface. So that way you can hook up like a modern hard drive or SSD into it. Plus you have the original Sony networking capabilities. So if you want to hook it up to your local network, go online, do all that stuff, you're able to. And I believe it's called like PSBBN, I want to say. It ended up getting, it's been around for years, and it's a project that it's been getting a translation. It's been getting a lot more coverage recently, but one of the caveats is that you cannot use a clone or a bootleg or a third-party network adapter, like a GameStar one or any of those other ones. You have to use a Sony one. So you either have to use an IDE drive or you have to convert it over to a SATA interface, but you have to use the original stock Sony branded one. So what I'm saying is these ones are good to have on hand. So that's all I got there. Let's see. I'm going to actually just dump this. Yep, nothing else there. So we're just going to put that over to the side. There you go. Now, getting to the actual price on this, right? From what I remember on here, each of these power supplies, it was $10, $10. This ended up being $5. This ended up being $10, I want to say. This ended up being another $5. These are all just prices that the guy ended up putting on there. And this one ended up being, I think because it was a Nintendo branded one, this one ended up being $10. So I wanted to negotiate a little bit. I wanted to get it a little lower, but he decided, oh, okay. And then this one here, the mouse, you know, because it's black, everything's black, it's blending in here. This one was also $5. So overall, I actually felt like this was pretty good because everything here, this is all stuff that I'm either going to use immediately or it's good to have on hand. And this would have all been $55. I wanted to negotiate a little bit, and then he ended up giving me a number of 40. And I was like, you know, sure, I'll go ahead and take it. So $15 less, I'm happy with that. So I ended up paying $40 for everything here, which again, I was pretty happy with. Some of these are things you don't see all too often. There's usefulness to them, but also just some of the stuff to keep on hand as well too. So I've been happy there. I think the only thing that we ran into, and it was fine because it's a guy who I've been to his stall a few times. I just haven't purchased anything from there. And I think he was just kind of busy because his stall was really packed and there was just stuff all over the place. But he ended up giving me that bag. And then when I ended up getting the bag, I had all the stuff in there. I ended up leaving, but something told me to check it, mainly because I was like, this bag is lighter than I'd expect. So I was like 2 steps away from the stall, opened it. Turned out the power supplies were not in there. So I went back in. I said, hey, man, the power supplies aren't in. He's like, oh, yep, my bad. They are right there on the ground. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to rip you off. I'm like, no, it's all good. He's like, yeah. I was just so busy. My bad. I was like, don't worry about it. At least they're in there now. The other thing was, too, again, with these, because it was the power supplies, but with the actual parts that plug into the wall itself, he was having a little bit of a hard time finding those. So I had to kind of like direct him on there. So it was kind of a funny but awkward thing, but we were able to get the cables, and he didn't charge me extra for them, but I even said, I was like, no, I'm not trying to like add more stuff. It's like, this is a part of this. And I think he was a little apprehensive at first to sell the power supplies because he didn't want to separate them out from a console, but he was like, well, I don't see the Xbox anywhere. I guess they're for Xbox 360. I don't see an Xbox 360 anywhere, so I guess I can sell them to you. So yeah. Overall, that's what we end up getting there. There were a few more things that we end up getting from the flea market because if you've never been to one, man, just look at the stalls. If you can look at every stall, they got everything there. And I say that, look at every stall, because if you look at a stall and like you're just seeing like primarily like candy or Hello Kitty or like tools, and I'm not kidding when I say that, you're just going to see that there. Just go into it, because you might go into like a corner of that stall and they'll have like a section of video games there. And there might be a few games that you're interested in. Or they'll just be like, hey, we'll just sell this for really cheap because we don't even know what it is. We're just trying to get rid of it. So explore. Be curious if you go to a flea market. And that's what I can recommend. Either way, that is about it for this video here. This is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too. But as I always say, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. And if you're going to dislike the video, totally fine. But just keep in mind that you're going to make this dog here really, really, really sad.